All right, let's talk about Carson Wentz, a player who obviously at one point was, an MVP candidate and probably would have won it had he not gotten injured towards the end of 2017. The Eagles would go on to win the Super Bowl that year, but Wentz was really never the same. And so I kind of want to make a video talking about what went wrong with Carson Wentz. Why did he go from this emerging superstar to a player that ended up just kind of flaming out and has now been just a backup? So yeah, thought it'd be an interesting video. But before we get into the film, just figured I'd mention real quick, I do have a movie channel as well. If you like movies, the link is in the description for that. A lot of fun stuff on there. I do some like reviews of recent movies and stuff like that. So if that seems like it's your kind of thing, check it out. I'd appreciate it. But yeah, anyway, let's just get into the film. So let's get into the film, and I want to start off with some 2017 tape, and I'm going to, point towards one specific Washington player, as this is something I just saw a ton of when I went back and rewatched a lot of 2018 tape with Wentz. First, you're going to notice that this Washington player gets through untouched. That's not the part that I saw a lot. I mean, it happens, sometimes guys get through untouched, but Wentz certainly had a never say die attitude with a lot of these plays. And hey, it's an important play, right? 3rd down and 10, you're up 2 points with 9 minutes left in the game. You want to keep the ball, in your hands, right? And watch Wentz spin out of this, and he is going to then manage to make an off-balance throw, and they pick up the first down on that play. That's a huge play, and for a second-year player, seeing him do this type of stuff, of course you're going to get excited about it. This play is another one where, again, it's key situation here on a 3rd down, and Wentz is never the type of guy to throw the ball away on 3rd down, which you're going to see here. Wentz takes the snap. It's only a 3-man rush, so he has time, but doesn't love what he sees, tries to scramble out a little bit, but that honestly was, if anything, a bad idea, right? I mean, you have now a Giants player right in your face when you could have stayed in the pocket, had a little bit more time. You're in trouble now. However, watch Wentz juke him out, and he's going to actually get around another guy and be able to pick up the first down on that 3rd down and 8. That's a tremendous play by Carson Wentz to do that kind of thing. And again, if it's working, no one's going to complain about it. Even stuff like this, which is just kind of crazy, where he's going to be under pressure basically this whole play, throws across the field, but still is able to get a completion, and they picked up a first down on a 2nd down and 12 on that one as well. A lot of I watched a couple highlight reels, and a lot of the highlight reels were a lot of these types of plays, of him kind of living dangerously, but still being okay. I also think to talk about Carson Wentz and what went right in 2017, you just have to talk about the situation. It was a really good situation, and one of the things that really helped him out was Alshon Jeffrey, the Philadelphia really #1 wide receiver that year. You see this concept, it's a single safety deep concept, meaning that for Jeffrey, he's going to have a one-on-one matchup on the outside, so okay, simple enough. And for Wentz, the reality is when he saw these types of situations, he was going to take them. You see that for Wentz, that's kind of what happens. He takes the snap, is throwing, actually did a pretty good job of using his eyes to get the safety out of position, and then he's throwing here. And this is just what he would do. He sees this, he throws it here. As you see, Jeffrey's going to do a really good job at adjusting to the ball. He actually gets a touchdown on this play, so really good job by Jeffrey there. But again, for Carson Wentz, what's his role in all of this? I mean, hey, honestly, it's a good strategy. If you have Alshon Jeffrey one-on-one, you should throw it up to him. I mean, this is kind of what Nick Foles would do. A lot of this similar stuff of just give your receivers chances, and it worked out for him as well, which is why the Eagles were able to win a Super Bowl. But I think in hindsight, 2 things happened. One, they just didn't have as many talented receivers as the years went on, and that hurt Carson Wentz. And 2, I mean, defenses legitimately started playing against this, not just for the Eagles, but for every team. They, with the Mahomes thing, that's really what kind of caused all defenses to just completely shift and start playing 2 safety deep coverages. But even before that, teams were starting to get a little bit more in the direction of let's, put 2 safeties deep every now and then, which kind of took away one of Carson Wentz's best attributes. Because I don't want to sit here and say that all he was doing was just throwing up jump balls and juking out guys. He was making some good plays. For example, something like this, where it's going to be a zone coverage concept, but you have the tight ends route right there, which actually could kind of, get open. Watch how when this begins, kind of before the safety or the corner is able to get over there, the tight end kind of runs by, a linebacker's picking it up, but it's a good situation. Again, these types of things don't really happen that much in today's NFL. The game has shifted in just 7 years to where, these teams make sure they don't let this happen and are more okay with giving up an extra couple yards in the run than giving up this situation. But still, watch this perfect throw from Carson Wentz. He made some really good throws down the field. I think one of the issues with Wentz was simply that the downfield passing just became less important. Like, let's go over to this game now, because I have to talk about this game, because this was essentially the end of Carson Wentz. This was the last game that he had as a starting quarterback. Of course, the Colts traded a first-round pick for him. They felt like he could still do enough good stuff. They wanted him on the roster. It was going okay, actually. I think people kind of misremember that season. It wasn't a disaster by Wentz. He was able to do things like what you'll see on the screen. It's zone coverage. You see the route that, could get open, kind of in the middle of the field area. Wentz is going to take the snap. He is going to eventually throw down the field, and you see right here, there's a window. It's not a huge window, but as we've established, Wentz can make difficult throws. And is this going to be one of those situations where he just, somehow gets worse at what he used to be good at? No, not at all. Watch him really throw a perfect ball. It was incomplete, but that wasn't his fault. Definitely Wentz is capable of making these difficult throws. Even today, he is good at doing this stuff. But let's rewind a bit and talk about the game itself here. As I mentioned, this season wasn't going horrible for the Colts. They're 9-7, and if they win this game, they're in the playoffs. So all you got to do is beat the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have already clinched the number 1 overall pick for the second straight season at this point. But then plays like this would happen, where it's very similar to that play I showed you earlier. There's going to be a Jacksonville player who's going to get through relatively untouched. Watch, that's what happens. He blitzes through. I think he maybe got grazed by an offensive lineman, but really is getting through untouched. For Carson Wentz, again, his second year when he was at MVP level, he was making these guys miss. He was juking them out and finding ways to rush and pick up yards. This time, though, that doesn't work out, and he actually fumbles the football. The reality is, back when he was with the Eagles in his heyday, yes, those plays worked, but they were never going to be able to work consistently. That was always a okay backup plan in a disastrous situation, but something you're going to have to clean out of your game. Even guys like Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes, they don't actively try to juke out defensive linemen. They, usually don't try to just not put themselves in those positions to begin with. And then, of course, this would happen as well, where, as I mentioned with the Eagles, the throws were there. There were windows. There were, throwing up jump balls was typically a good strategy. So here, on paper, this is the play that should work. You see this over the middle route, definitely one that on paper looks pretty good. However, when Carson Wentz takes the snap, he eventually looks over and fires in that direction, and this time, it's really not a throw he should be making. You could maybe try to push it, further deep and towards the sideline, but honestly, I don't even like that as an idea. It's just not open, and this is kind of the issue with Carson Wentz, is he was someone who would either make a throw, the way it's designed, throw it to his first read, throw up a jump ball perhaps, or he's going to try and scramble out and make a play happen that way. And the reality is, it doesn't matter how athletic you are or how many difficult throws you can make if you don't know when to try to make the difficult throw and when not to. This throw gets intercepted, and because of that, the Jaguars were able to help ice this game. The Jaguars won, and Carson Wentz has yet to be a starter in the NFL again, and has even missed time just being in the NFL because no team would even sign him as a backup. So do I think Wentz could make a resurgence, perhaps? Maybe. I don't think it's impossible that he could make some sort of a resurgence. But I do think it would probably have to be similar to that 2017 Eagles situation of just like a great situation that all he has to do is come in and, make the throws that he should be making and have success that way. And then, you can still get some hopefully better stuff with kind of, when a play breaks down, him able to make stuff happen. But honestly, I think the risk is too far worth the reward, in my opinion, that unless you're just a disastrous team and say, let's just take a chance. But if you're a disastrous team, he's probably not going to be that good because you won't have guys get open consistently. I'm thinking maybe if there was some hypothetical team that had like an elite receiving core but just sucked other than that, then that would probably be a good situation to, hey, let's take a flyer on him that way. But as of right now, I just don't know how much faith I have in a Carson Wentz resurgence, but I don't think it's impossible. Those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.